Welcome to Emerging Ease, where we will focus on unraveling the difficulties in the midst of our journey and move toward forward progress. This program is not meant to replace any form of therapy, and you are encouraged to seek out a mental health professional if necessary. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Emerging Ease with Keisha. I am the host, Keisha, and you're listening to the to the Batchelor, sorry, News Radio Network. Before we start to talk, I wanted to remind you that if you're interested in advertising, feel free to email me at emergingease, all one word, at gmail.com. We can discuss pricing and what you're looking for your business, because you got to look at, we're heard across the U.S. and many other countries. So it would be an awesome opportunity for many business owners out there. Also, if you miss the show or you miss a part of the show, know that you can always go to the Bachelor News .airtime.pro to listen to any past shows. So come on in and let's talk. Today's topic, we're looking at challenging your personal toxicity. Okay, so I'm gonna finish up with some things from last week, and then we'll jump into the challenge part, because that's where the work comes in. Okay. All right. So last week we got to some of the characteristics, which we know a characteristic can be something that's challenged. Okay. A trait is something that can be adapted. So it may not be something that has to be as strong, but it kind of holds on right there. So self-centeredness. We have all come across people who are self-centered in some kind of way, shape, or form. Even we ourselves, as we try to do different, can be self-centered in our thoughts. So, but this we're going to focus on is a person who focuses only on what they want and not the needs of others. So I want to kind of break that down a little bit. Self-centeredness is looking at what they want. Their needs are addressed. That's one thing. It's one thing if you're trying to fulfill a need. It's another thing if you're trying to fulfill a want, because our wants come before our needs. So they're looking at their wants to go in front of somebody else's needs. A need is like safety, security, housing, food, water, all of that on Maslow's chart. So if we look at that, then when a person is putting their wants above someone else's needs, that's speaking a lot to what their choices are, how they choose to interact with people, the value they may put on relationships with others, and therefore will be very focused in understanding why they choose to interact with you that way. But at this point, when we're looking at self, that also should tell us, why are we choosing to interact with, for one, the people that we're choosing to interact with, and in the way we are. Because if we all look at the way we interact with folks, even in our friend groups, every person we have in our friend groups, we kind of have a different relationship with. Okay. So when we have a different relationship with these people, we have to look at why. Some people you may have a shorter attention span with, because are they not fulfilling what you want at the time? So therefore, let me tune them out, but I don't need to hold them close enough. So just in case, or next week when I know they have something that'll give me what I want, then I can pull them back in. So being mindful of the push pull that we may have from our side of it, and I'm looking at the side of the other person. Okay. So with self-centeredness, uh, that can also look at how you allow yourself to be emotionally open and or emotionally supportive to other people. So that comes to look at when someone's having a difficult time, is it in your best interest to comfort this person? Because, hey, if I comfort them, then they'll feel like I'm supportive of them, so then I can get something. Or is it a comfort of, I'm comforting them because I care for them, I respect them, I want them to have the best because they always root for me. So self-centeredness, there's the only thing is the interaction you have with the other person is so focused on what you get in the end. Now, the thing is, if you find that, dang, this kind of matches another person that I interact with, maybe in my friend circle, even family, because family can be like this too, challenge why do you keep that relationship with a self centered person? Because with a self centered person, until that person chooses to identify their behaviors, just like any of these other behaviors we talked about, that condition is going to stay intact. They're going to continue to interact like that. If you have a self centered friend until you say, hey, it seems like you only come around to be nice and be supportive when something's going to benefit you. But when, the rubber meets the road, you're not there unless you need something. Okay. Also challenge yourself in that. Conflict avoidance. This is one that is so, 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 so frustrating. Because the thing about conflict avoidance is there is absolutely nothing in life that says you're not going to have to address something at some period in your life. That's not going to be comfortable. Okay. It does not mean it has to be a knockdown, drag out, say all these horrible things and hurtful things to each other, or do anything hateful and hurtful to each other. But what it does say is that when you choose not to address things that are a struggle or a difficulty, and you just push it to the side, what you're also doing is saying to people, it's okay to just push me to the side, push me to the side, push me to the side. And then all of a sudden you have this feeling that, well, no one loves me, no one respects me, no one considers me. You don't consider you. So why would someone else? We have to look at what that does and what it says to other people. The way we interact with ourselves, the way we love on ourselves, is how other people will love on us and how they will interact with us. And if they realize that they can't meet up to the things that we expect in the friendships or family relationships, or long-term relationships that are going on, they will remove themselves because they know they don't have that ability. A person that has conflict avoidance is a person that has a hard time talking to other people because they're afraid of upsetting the other person. Well, what are they going to say? How are they going to feel about me? What's that? What is it going to cause them to think about me? I'm gonna take my glasses off for this one so y'all can see the wrinkle that's gonna develop in the middle of my forehead. The way somebody thinks about you or assumes about you or prejudges you has absolutely nothing to do with you. That is their own problem. And I believe we've talked about that before. That is one thing as a therapist. Um, that is so difficult to get past at times with some people is, well, I don't want to say anything because they're going to think I'm mean. Well, I don't want to say anything because they're going to think I'm mad. Well, I don't want to say anything, but the whole time you're hurting on the inside. You are passing up an opportunity to resolve something and hurting yourself, and that other person is winning, double winning at that, because they're never addressed. Their actions will continue because it's never been challenged. And so therefore they think it's okay. And the whole time you have this resentment that begins to build up. You also have anger because feeling disrespected, and the resentment as well as discounted. All of that's building up and coming together and creating this massive ball that's then presented in the form of anger, because anger is safe to bring that up. And that's the irony of um, conflict avoidance. We will allow ourselves as people to take in so much and hold it, take in so much and hold it, take in so much and hold it, and we'll hold so much. And then that one spark comes and, oh, here comes the anger. Now you running after people, calling folks, showing up for people's jobs. I hope y'all really ain't doing that. But needless to say, it's okay to express that angry aggression. But why not address it before it even gets there? Because the thing is, when you're holding all that stuff in, you're also compacting your energy and forcing it into this container, to give you kind of a picture. And that container, for one, our energy is not supposed to be limited or stagnant or used in a way that's going to be hurtful to ourselves or others. So when you're packing it down, packing it down, packing it down, that energy gets so balled up and locked up that it's got to come out in some way. And the way you say it's okay for it to come out is in aggression, in anger, in hurtful words, okay, in passive aggressive interactions with people. So Challenge yourself on that. If you find that you're a person that says, "Oh, I don't want to be in conflict," well, guess what? If you don't say anything, you're going to be in an internal conflict. And then here comes anger. And the very thing that you were trying to avoid is the very thing you create. Okay. So challenge yourself with that and be mindful that and I don't like that conflict has such a negative connotation. Really, what it is it's a conversation of me identifying what I need, not necessarily a want, but usually a conflict is a discussion about something you need. I need to feel respected. I need to be respected. I need to be at peace. Okay. I need these things. So if you need them, why not open your mouth? Because if y'all are like me and y'all know I'm country, my parents used to say a closed mouth don't get fed. Nobody knows you hungry or you need something until you say something. Nobody's supposed to be able to read your mind and guess. And then on top of that, let's just add that one to the list. Putting people to guesswork. That is hurtful and it's toxic for you as a person because you will never, ever reach the potential that you have as a person, an individual, in a friendship, in a partnership, in a marriage, in a friendship, in a work situation, if everyone always has to guess what's going on with you. If you can't or refuse to, that's the thing, it's a choice. You refuse to open your mouth and voice concerns. Even with that, when you're identifying concerns, also identify some positives that are going on. Because if people know, hey, that's not good for you, but this is, okay, now I know. Now, the thing is, what'll also happen is, just like I said before, those people who can't or choose not to live up to those things, they will exit your life. Always leave the door unlocked so people can leave. Don't lock them in and put a bar across it and a chair up under the knob. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all done it. Let that door be. You ain't got to leave it open because you don't want nothing just wandering in. But leave it unlocked. You want to leave? That's the direction right there. Go ahead and go. It's all right. Because someone else, as my dad used to tell me, and I'm going to clean up the saying he would tell me. But as soon as one person leaves, usually two people will enter your life that are much more of a blessing than the person that left. So actually, you get a double blessing when those type of people leave. Not only do you get the peace, but you also get other folks that'll fulfill that space, that sitting space that they were taking up, but they'll bring something more positive to you. So being mindful of that. Oh my goodness. One thing I do want to touch on too is we talked about probably about 2 months ago impulsivity. That is also something else that can be a sign that you're toxic. And the way that is, just so we kind of get an understanding of where I'm coming from, is because if you are bouncing from one thing to another, from one thing to another, from one thing to another, for one, you don't like commitment. You have a fear going on, and that fear is driving your action, your physical action. Okay, your mental action, your emotional action, even possibly your spiritual, because usually if all the other three are out of line, so is your spiritual. So one day you're vegan. Next day I'm a carnivore. Next day I'm only drinking water. Next day I'm over here swallowing McDonald's fries. And that just gives you an example. And that you're just all over the place. One day I'm a graphic designer. Next day I think I'm gonna be a priest. Next day I'm gonna be a school teacher. Next day, no, I'm gonna just be a gardener. I'm gonna sell my stuff at the market. There's absolutely no rhyme or reason to anything. Now, the challenge with spontaneity is, or excuse me, impulsivity is this. It is one thing if you are trying to find your path. Usually our path is not going to bounce us all across the map, okay? For instance, if you're trying to find what career is going to best fulfill your way to express your passion in life. If you say, you know what, I want to work with people, you may have several different careers. If it's trying to find your way on your path, it's still going to line up and go down helping people. It's not going to go from one extreme to the other. Okay. It's not going to cause you to lose yourself. Now, the thing is, when you're going from, well, I'm a baker to a surgeon to an attorney to a therapist to a teacher, to, someone that's a professional artist, graphics or even vocal or music. It's not going to be that sporadic. It's going to usually be down a very similar line. So challenge yourself with that. Before I go on, I want to thank you again for tuning in to Emerging Ease with Keisha on the Bachelor News Radio Network. I want to remind you to tune in Friday to Featured Album Friday at 5:30 Eastern Time, when the featured artist this week will be Yolanda Adams. Come on, because we're going to need some praise going on. Also, tune in to all the love songs that will be played during Whisper Softly every Sunday through Friday from 8 p.m. to midnight on the Bachelor News Radio Network. And remember, if you miss any portion of any broadcast, you can tune in to the Bachelor News.airtime.pro. We'll take a brief break.
Have you seen that new plastic coffee container? Did you know it actually absorbs aroma from the coffee? At Maxwell House, we think the aroma should stay where it belongs, in the coffee, not the container. Our steel can won't absorb our rich coffee aroma, and, unlike plastic, it's a perfect barrier against coffee's worst enemies, moisture and oxygen. So choose Maxwell House with the fresh steel can, and make every day good to the last drop.
All right, welcome back. I want to kind of look at some myths about toxic traits, and we'll talk about overcoming toxic, not traits, uh, overcoming toxic characteristics. Sorry, this one lock is just trying to wave at everybody. I apologize, y'all. Um, One myth is that people can't change. So therefore, I've been like this all my life. I can't change. This is just me. That is one of the most hurtful and harmful, personally, uh, things to say to yourself or to say about anyone else. Oh, that's just them. That's how so and so is. You just kind of got to roll with it. Because what it does is it not only gives that other person, but it also gives you the excuse that, hey, I was born like this. I can't change. Well, unless something's different about you specifically, your life has changed 100-fold, at least since birth. So if life is changing all around you, why would you not be expected to be able to change? You've grown up, you've graduated, you've moved out on your own. You may have another level of education or a skill you attained. You've got children, you've gotten married, you've gotten divorced, you're dating somebody, you're dating nobody. You moved to a different state and or city or anything like that. You've gone through all these other types of changes externally, then why couldn't your internal change? Because we choose not to. Let's just be honest. We choose not to. We become comfortable in where we are, and you just get the mindset, well, this is who I am, and you'll just accept it or you'll leave it. And that is one of the most hurtful things we can do as people, to ourselves as well, because we never give ourselves opportunity to find out more about us. We have to be mindful that in our lives, we are given different gifts, okay? As I got to do a training for some teachers here locally this past week, I had to let them know I love what y'all do. I appreciate and respect what you do, but I know this is not my calling. My passion is people. I love them in a helping position as well to help people, but I could not be a teacher. That was never any ever, even when I was little, a calling. But the thing is, when we say that I can't change, if something happened, even though I know that's not my calling and I was needed and it would be in a way I could be helpful, I could do it. When we don't challenge ourselves to do something different, do something different that causes us to improve personally, and by personally, I mean mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically, then we limit ourselves. And therefore, it opens the door, kicks it wide open for resentment, for frustration, for disappointment, and therefore the expression of anger. Now, if you are personally tired of experiencing those things, then you have to make the choice to begin to challenge yourself. And usually we as people know where the good place to start is, because sometimes people say, oh, I don't know where to start to change myself. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? Well, I get angry with people. Oh, there you go. There's your start. Start there. Well, I distance myself from people. Well, there you go. Start there. Start by challenging yourself. You are the only one that can do the work to get you to a better place. I tell people, especially when I start meeting with them for therapy, always, I'm here as an assistant. I'm here as a guide. I'm here to ask you the things that you refuse to address on your own, because that's what a therapist does. I'm not here to tell you, oh, this is what you should do. My advice would be, I'm not an advice columnist. That's not it. I'm here to be with you while you do the hard work. And that's the thing. Your work is going to be hard. There's absolutely nothing in life that says life is easy. Okay. In life being something that's ever changing, that's what really makes it hard, because you never know what to expect at times. And that is also the adventure of life. For some reason, and I don't know how, when, why, or where, it was put in the atmosphere some kind of way that life is supposed to be easy and happy all the time. And when life is not easy and happy all the time, then there is something wrong. Maybe that process you're in is a process to change, room to sit still and do something different for you, room to improve. Maybe that's what that time in life is. So think about it like that. Another myth about toxicity: you can fix someone else's toxicity. Mm-mm, mm-mm. Also, often, many times we as people will say, hey, I've improved this, I've improved that. Now let me go help somebody else fix themselves. Or let me identify this relationship to get into so I can help them fix themselves and discover what I've realized about me. A person will choose to stay in their stagnation, or they will choose to move. There is absolutely nothing we can do. You can be the best woman, you can be the best man, you can be the tallest person, you can be the shortest person, you can be the most generous person, you can be a very frugal person. There's absolutely nothing you can do. Now, that doesn't mean that you won't also get people that will come up to you, even family members, and say, oh, I've seen all the changes you've done. What did you do? And you tell them, and then they just sit there. You've done what they've asked. I'll tell you what I did all day. Now, I cannot do the work for you. You have to choose that, because that's your own path for you to go on. So being mindful of that. Also, if you are improving yourself, don't attempt to say, you know what, I'm in this relationship, I'm in this friendship, I have this family member, they need to come on this journey with me. If they don't choose to join that journey, don't invite extra people, because what it's going to do is it's going to slow you down, possibly stagnate you, because now you got a flat on one of the wheels of your cart that was going forward, or then it hit the reverse and now you're going all the way back. So being mindful of that. Um, People with toxicity know that they are toxic. No, they don't. No, they don't. When you start to look at yourself and challenge yourself, you'll start to identify things about you, and you'll, oh my goodness, I never realized that. Because who really takes the time to really be mindful about themselves emotionally, physically, spiritually, and mentally? Who does that? Usually that's not something that, oh, I need to tune into me today. And I'm going to sit down for an hour and I'm going to just be and tune into me. No, not many people do that. And if you do, hats off to you. um Someone or some trait, some toxicity is inherited. Oh, I got this from my mom, I got this from my grandma, I got this from my daddy. You may have, because it's, as we talked about a few weeks ago, generational trauma, which can be generational toxicity. Yes, you can, but it's not yours to hold on to. You can challenge it and get it out of there. That's like if you have a sink full of dirty dishes and you say, well, my grandma left them, and then my mama left them. And I'm in the same house and I still got the same sink of dirty dishes. I done piled a couple more on top. And there ain't nothing I can do about it. Everybody done left them. It's your choice to either leave it or to clean it up. Choose to clean it up, I hope. Another myth is that toxicity is the same as being assertive or tough. I have to, this is my resilience. No, a toxic trait is not resilience. A toxic trait is always going to express itself due to fear. Okay. Fear that something's going to be revealed to others about you that you don't want to reveal because you see it as a weakness, or fear that someone will attempt to exploit what your weakness is. Fear, fear. So no, it's not toughness. You can be assertive and not be toxic. You can be assertive and be resilient. Excuse me, you can be resilient and not be toxic. That's what I'm trying to say. Now, the thing to do to challenge your toxicity is, for one, start to identify toxic things within you, toxic communication, toxic thinking, toxic emotional use. Okay. Um, if you are harming other people, you can recognize that. Because if you go up to somebody and they've been in your life for a while, and every time you come up, that's toxicity. Something bad wrong has happened, and you can do something about that. Now, initially, when you begin to change and challenge your toxicity, people will be kind of standoffish because they'll be concerned about what's your angle, especially if maybe you're one of those people that was putting your needs above your wants above others' needs. But continue in that journey to challenge your toxicity. When you identify the things that are toxic within you, identify ways that could be helpful for you to change. That means, guess what? You're going to have to do some research. You're going to have to read a couple of books or listen to um some audiobooks. I encourage books more than podcasts, because many times some of the podcasts that I've come across, the it has well-intended meaning, but there's little ability to reference it. Okay. With a book, and I mean the physical book, even an audiobook can do, you can fold the pages down, put a marker there. And what's this one? This book I always tell people to get. Okay. The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. This book right here, this book right here, y'all. I'm not going to say what Cat Williams said, but y'all know what I'm saying. This book right here, this is what you need. And it's thin. As you can see, it's very thin. Very, very thin. And you're like, well, how's that thin book going? You get to reading this, you're going to want to write Mr. Ruiz a letter and say, look, let me tell you something. You stop telling me about myself. You nosy and you rude. Okay. Because I never recommend anything to people that I have not read, that I do not believe in. This book right here, this one right here, I'm trying to get that glare off. This one right here, this is what you need. And I don't mean get it and flip through it and read through it all the time. You see these tabs that I've put on it, okay? Because I use it in groups. I use it personally for me. Every now and again, when I feel like, well, dang, I feel like I've done everything I can do. That's all I can do. I go back through here, and I'll always sit and think and figure out something else that I need to continue to work on for myself. This right here, it talks about the four agreements, and it's very, very challenging. When you are at the beginning of your journey, you will get frustrated, you will get disappointed, you'll probably even get angry with yourself, but use that to continue to press forward, because that's your fuel to move forward. All right. um and we can talk about those four agreements. I think I've hit on them before, but we can do it in depth. Actually, we can do that next week. So that way I can show you guys how I encourage people to read through the book. Um, ask people what toxic interactions they feel like they've had with you, and ask them to be truthful and let them know there's going to be no repercussion for that truth. When you ask people and you let them know, I'm not going to be hurtful to you because you're being truthful with me, especially when I asked you, they will know that they're safe to have that expression with you. All right. So next week, you know what we are. We're gonna do these four agreements, which is what we're gonna talk about on the next show. All right. So I want to thank you again so much for tuning in to Emerging Ease with Keisha here on the Batchelor News Radio Network. Remember, if you missed any portion of the broadcast, please go to the bachelornews.airtime.pro and tune in and listen to what we have on there. Also, if you have any want to advertise, please email me at emergingease@gmail.com. I hope today's discussion has been and will continue to be helpful to you in your life's journey. Also, I want to ask that you guys reach out and pray for those that are being deployed right now with all the things going on in the world. Pray for each other, love on somebody. See y'all next week.
Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you for taking such a time as this to participate in your personal improvement with Emerging Ease. I'm Keisha, your host. Remember that in everything, there's an opportunity to learn and grow. If you are experiencing a difficult time, please reach out to the National Crisis Prevention Hotline at 1-800-273-8255. And I look forward to hearing from you next week on Emerging Ease with Keisha.